Gonna do my trade recap, good trade, bad trade thing a little early this week just because, as I said last time with Fridays, I'm trying to be a little bit more cautious on those days because those tend to be when I make the most mistakes or take really big losses when I do have them. So, in order to combat that, I'm just purely gonna take one, maybe two scalps max tomorrow. So, I wouldn't really count anything as a good or bad trade tomorrow. Just looking to get in, grab some money, and then get out and not try to fight it because as of right now, I'm more focused on keeping my account protected on Fridays versus trying to, I don't know, find really, really good trades. I'll worry about making sure I have good trades day in and day out once I'm a little bit more consistent and those bad Friday trades kind of go back to the wayside. So let's start off with the good trade, and I actually have two, so I'm going to try to go through them a little quickly just because I'm happy with these two. So the first one is Netflix, and this was Tuesday? Yeah, this was Tuesday this week. So what I was looking for on Netflix, flip to a daily real quick, and ignore this stuff, I just haven't deleted them off yet this week because we opened up in this area and I got a little bit of a late start Monday, so I just haven't gone through and cleared these out for Netflix yet. But I was looking for a push into these highs from Monday, so at the 70 or 376.66 area, but also this 375 has kind of put up a fight with Netflix in the past, so I was willing to risk off of either one of these levels. And as you can see, get back to the minute, Netflix was opening up right almost on that, so that plan not necessarily out of the question because you can see here a little bit later in the day it ended up not being able to break that level to start off on the morning. So I was really looking for a push up into the 376.66 area. And was this the first candle? No, it's the second candle. So we opened up here. Sorry, I don't have my pre-market data on this far back, so it's a little bit off for me, still getting comfortable with that. So this was our first candle on the day. So we started pushing up into 35, and it did break a little. And as it was breaking, I threw on my first contract. I was still, willing to risk up into this 36 area. So with it being early and it pushing, and the way Netflix tends to trade, I'm okay with taking areas versus exact to the penny marks because Netflix is a little bit of a low float, so it can tick over and tick under just depending on what the bid and asks happen to be on that day. So I'm not too picky with specific to the penny values on Netflix, just as an FYI. And also, if I remember right, and I don't have the chart up in front of me, I believe the SPY kind of sold off first thing on Tuesday morning as well. So that kind of gave me more confidence in grabbing this on the way down. So this one wasn't a great fill because, like I said before, opening trades, the bid and ask can be a little wide in the first minute or two on the option side. So I put on my first contract, wasn't happy with the fill, so I just took on another one because it came down within a few seconds as it was pushing up and starting to already get sucked back down. So I got a second contract on just to kind of average out those fills to be a better entry, and it immediately started pushing down. And now I know this doesn't look like these aren't the exact positions I entered in anyways, but let's just say I got an average of around in this area. And I know this doesn't look like a lot from the first to second candle, it's not even a full dollar, but the premiums really spiked just from this push back down into the 50 EMA and below this 375. So I went ahead and took off my first contract on Netflix right on this quick push. So with that, I was able to capitalize very quickly on this first move, just take off my first contract. You can't see it now because this is a few days after the fact, but the voodoo was literally the bottom of these two candles here, so right at 373.26, and that was my initial target. Was I took off my first right in here. And actually, now that I'm thinking about this, sorry, there's another here. I had 3 contracts, so I don't remember if I picked up 2 up here or started off with 2 and added, or went 2 and 2. I'm not really sure what happened here, but I clearly had 3 contracts, so I apologize for that statement. Actually, I just remembered, and yeah, I am wearing a Hello Kitty blanket to keep warm. Big whoop. Want to fight about it? I actually remembered I did not mean to take 2 more contracts. I meant to add in 1 additional contract, and I fat fingered and double clicked something and ended up taking 2 to make my position size 4 versus trying to enter at 3. So even though it was a mistake, it worked out in my favor. So shit happens. I don't remember my specific injury, but on this candle, nonetheless, I ended up with 3 contracts. So I took my first here. I took off my second, trying to get off at this voodoo, and I don't remember what happened. I don't remember if it was one of those Tastyworks errors where I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to click off of it quickly to get out of my trade, because sometimes when I try to exit trades quickly, I get some weird error and I never have time to read it because it's always when I'm under some speed constraint. And I just close it out and have to like click on a bunch of shit to get the trade to actually close. So because of that, I did miss grabbing it off the voodoo and it started to get sucked back up, but I ended up getting the contract off somewhere in, I don't know, in this area. But the thing that kind of sucks is, even though most of this candle is at least, 50 cents, at best case over $1 from my first exit, the premiums that I got for both of these sells were exactly the same. So realistically, if I had taken the whole trade off here, or the first 2 here, or the first 2 here, I would have gotten the exact same fill. So whatever, it's kind of an annoying thing, but that's how contract options or option premiums kind of move. So I took off my first 2 here, and I was looking to see if we could get back under this voodoo. I wanted to finally do what I always wanted to do and hold 1 extra contract to see if I could get some extra money out of it. So I was watching it and it started to come back up, and I know I took this off before it cracked VWAP and the 50 EMA, but around this time the SPY, I believe, and I'm trying to recall from Tuesday now, started to push back up, and I think it cracked its VWAP as well and really squeezed through. So I saw that and I thought, you know what, Netflix a lot of times will follow the SPY because that is one of the ETFs it's a part of, or the index that it's a part of, the S&P 500. So I went ahead and just decided to take my profits, and I took it off. Almost immediately I realized, just because the SPY is squeezing but Netflix isn't, doesn't mean Netflix will respond, and I should have gave it a little more time to see how Netflix would go. I got a little overly cautious, and I still had this 375 area as an ultimate risk level. So even though my entry was up here, I still could have just used the 375 as my risk. So even though I took this off here, I thought about it for a second and I decided I still want to see if this trade will work under 375. So I went ahead and picked up 1 more contract, buying back in. So at this point, this candle here, I was completely closed on the trade. I decided to enter back in on the next candle, and funny enough, even though these were probably about 50 cents apart, I actually paid like 10 more cents to get back in than where I sold here, and that's just because of the way premiums move on Netflix sometimes. But entered in here. The next candle, it kind of pushed and then started to come back down. I decided, you know what, I'm going to put in 1 more contract, and then if it just breaks this 375, I'll take it off, because just this trade here, these 3 contracts, had already paid me out 20%. And that was in the first 10 minutes of the day. So I was okay with, if this didn't work out, giving back like 10 or 15 bucks. Not a big deal. So I entered in on this candle and this candle, let it come down. I thought it might pop back up through VWAP. I got a little nervous. I shouldn't have taken this off, but I ended up doing it, and I only took off 1 because I wanted to reduce my risk just in case it didn't work out, and I think it was 5 or 10 cents back up. So I just took that quick, like 10 or 15 bucks to kind of cover my commissions and fees on the day, because I don't overly trade a lot, so 10 or 15 bucks more than covers any amount of commissions and fees that I'll rack up by far on most days. So I took that one off and wanted to see what the next move would be. We got this big red candle here that pushed down another $1. So from this last entry to final exit again was about $1.50 to $2. Got a nice pop on the premium and took off my second contract. So I got a 20% trade on Netflix, exited a little early, was able to add back in, with the same theoretical level of risk, and got another nice little quick push down to take my morning trade for Netflix. all in the first 16 minutes on the day. And if we just look, technically I could have, held this. So if I wouldn't have panicked out and took this one off, I could have just left this last one on here. Maybe I probably would have taken it off on it holding this 172. Maybe would have held to see if we got a lower push, but that's hindsight, so I can't say how I would have acted at that level. So that was my good trade on Netflix. Let's click over to Amazon real quick. All right, so Amazon. This was basically straight out of the pre-market plan of attack from Trick Trade. So again, that's the service that I am a member of, where I get some day trading education and mentoring and guidance on plays that are looking good on the day from Pat Mitchell. So Pat had identified this 1929.82 or whatever it is, this line I've marked here, as a potential area for Amazon to bounce. So the plan was, if it ran up, watch pre-market highs at the 140.88. If Amazon sold off, watch this basically 1920 or 1930 area, if we just round up. So that's exactly what I did. Amazon started pushing straight down. I have a bad habit of getting, jumpy on Amazon. So to take that out, I did something I don't normally do. I put a limit order in for the price that, because I've been trading options pretty much the entire time I've been trading, I'm very comfortable with kind of guesstimating the prices when Delta moves like the way that I think it should. And a lot of times I'm right, sometimes I'm not, but whatever. I was just trying to take my mind out of it, so I put a limit order for the price that I was expecting Amazon to trade at or to go for around this 1930 area. And I know that's a little risky that I might miss the trade, but being the first minute of the day, if I missed it on something big like Amazon, I was okay with it, because I would rather get in at a good price and let it go versus get in a bad fill like I've had too many times and then be wrong and then just be screwed by about $200 or $300 within a minute or two. So set my limit for what I thought it would be down in this area. It pushed, just above there, and I got it to fill just as it was starting to get sucked back up. I rode it straight back into essentially what the open area was, so a previous day's high of 135.20 or 1935.20. So just a quick move from this area at the bottom right back into a previous day's high for, what's that, $4 in 2 minutes on Amazon, which again turned out to be another quick 20% trade. So I was pretty happy with that. Because it was so early, I wanted to see if I could get one more trade out of Amazon. So I was looking to see if I could flip my bias and bring it back down. So looking for this rejection of the 1940 area. I got a little jumpy and got in a little too early here. I should have let it come up higher. I saw this wick and I was like, oh, it's coming down, and I jumped in, and then it pushed, and it started to pull back, but it was kind of wicky here, and I wasn't fast enough to grab it when it pushed back into this 50 EMA area. I was watching that and I wanted to take it off there, but I don't know, maybe I was distracted, but I ended up not being quick enough to get it off in time, and it was already kind of back up at the top of this candle. So I just kind of gave it another minute or two. I saw an opportunity to get out even. It wasn't necessarily that I thought the trade wouldn't work, it's just that I wasn't happy with where my entry was, still being over $2, almost $3 from these pre-market highs. And again, these are just pre-market highs. It could have easily tore through. So because I didn't have that great entry, I just took it off here. I think I got like a $5 profit, which is basically just a scratch. So I took it off there, let it come back up again, saw it get smacked down again, and thought, you know what, this would be a better entry. So even though this was only, and I don't remember where I got it filled at specifically, $1.50 on Amazon, which is like maybe 50 cents on a normal stock, I decided to go ahead and enter in here, risking off of the 1940s. So only really another $1.50. So instead of my risk being closer to $3, I cut it in half down to about $1.50. And it got a nice pop on the premium just from here to here. So I was like, you know what? I've messed around with Amazon a little too much trying to catch it on the way down. I'm just going to take this quick move and get out. And it might have been 10%, it might not have. But it ended up making, pretty nice morning, because if you get these small moves on Amazon, you can, pad your account pretty nicely just from these moves. So entry to there, good trade. Not the best entry, so I got out for a scratch and just took, a quick scalp because the opportunity happened to be there. And if I would have held, I could have got, another $4 ride down. But I really didn't, want to fight it the day. This was a short day on Wednesday, so the market was closing at 1. And as you can see, it kind of probably would have worked out. Amazon just chopped the whole day, but I'd rather just take my money and walk at that point. So, bad trade, where are we at? It's my bad trade. It's not necessarily because it lost a bunch of money or anything. It's just because, I don't know, I didn't execute it very well. So, UNH. And this is not something I normally trade. I think it was like a week ago. I was just kind of clicking around on different stocks that were above $200 that had decent volume on options, just seeing if I could get something outside of the tech area. Typically, everything I trade is just all tech related. So if you can see my watch list here, with the exception of UNH, it's pretty much all some type of tech related stock, with the exception of some commodity stuff that I track down here just to see what the market's looking like. So I just wanted to look something away from that. So just on the off chance that, if I'm looking at like Google and Apple and Netflix and there's some bad news that's around tech, they're all going to sell off, or they're all going to kind of take off most of the time together. So I just wanted to have something that might not necessarily react to the exact same news that those do. And for now, I did not find that in UNH. I'm not really happy with the way this traded. I also got a bad entry. So United Healthcare was selling off, and I didn't look too much into what was going on here. So it sold off about 5 points. So this is a stock that can get some range, but it came down, and this was a level I had marked from, no, this was today's level. So I had this marked from now. I didn't have any levels other than this, was it 143.16 from a previous day. So I was watching it come back up, and it was coming into this VWAP, and it pulled back, and it came up, and it pulled back, and it came up. So I thought, you know what, it might not make it through here. So I just went ahead and entered this candle right when it tagged that VWAP. And these options are actually fairly cheap for it being a $240 stock. Like, they're almost similar to SPY options in their actual price. So I think they were like 90 cents each. So I just picked up 4 of them and entered here. And what I should have done is started with 2 and just let the trade work out. And if it, kept holding, add in like I normally do. But I don't know, I just entered in with 4. And I was risking off of this 243.16. So it came up, tried to hit it, couldn't make it. Tried to hit it again, just fell short, and I didn't add in to any of these because I didn't want to expose any more risk on the day. I didn't add here, and they had not melted down a lot. I think they were down to like the 80 cents. Occasionally they popped into 70. But then if we zoom out, fucking United Healthcare, after this, a 5-point drop and then a 2-point climb, it did nothing for the rest of the day. Like, its lows were they were 30 cents from my entry, and from my entry its highs until the very end of the day were 40 cents. So this basically just chopped the entire fucking day, and that was kind of annoying. So I entered here with no real plan. I took a poor way to enter. I don't enter the way I normally do by entering in stages. I just threw the trade on, and I didn't really manage it. And I think the reason why I let it go for so long is because it did just chop. It gave me no clear direction that this might work or this might not work. It just melted the premiums down. So I ended up actually just not even caring about this money anymore, because I was just so annoyed with the way this trade worked out that I was like, you know what, I'm going to leave it on overnight. And if it crashes in the morning, I'll take it off probably for a break even. If we get a gap up and it runs, I'll just, take the loss, because it wasn't a very big trade. It was very small compared to my normal trading size for now. So I held it overnight. Not a smart idea, which is another reason why I don't think this was a good trade. And I got lucky that we had this big sell-off. So I just threw on a limit order for like, I think 4 cents above my break even, so I could just pay off a little commissions, and didn't even look at it. And around 4 or 5 minutes into the morning on Wednesday, it sold. So I ended up having to get almost a 2.5 point move just to barely get above break even. So that was definitely my bad trade on the day, and I'm not even going to mark that up because I just sold it on the next day. So didn't really have a good plan on a ticker that I don't normally trade. Didn't enter the way I normally enter, and this chop for basically 4 hours straight just made me really annoyed with the trade, and I just couldn't watch it or manage it anymore. So once I got to that point, I should have just took it off regardless of what the premiums were at, but it is what it is. And I ended up, getting out for like a $15 profit, so whatever. But those are my recaps for the week. So my good trade on both Netflix and Amazon, and then my poorly handled trade on United Healthcare. So hopefully tomorrow I don't screw everything up like I did last Friday. I'm just gonna, try to get one solid trade on the morning, capitalize my typical 15 to 20% return, and just call it a day early since it's been a short, low volume week. That's actually, paid out pretty well for me so far, and we'll get back to it next week with our first full normal week back after the holiday. So hopefully this was helpful or somewhat insightful to any of you. And as always, like, subscribe, and leave any questions if you got them below. Thanks.